Hi, welcome back to Silver Bunny Stitches. This is my channel all about the cross stitch that I do. We seem to have quite a few new people joining us, so hello to you, and welcome back to anybody who's joined me previously. It has been a little while since I did a Flosstube. Wasn't going to be so long, but I had surgery last month. And I was hoping to get a video up before I had surgery, but I found the closer I got to surgery, the more nervous I got, and it got to the point where I couldn't even settle to cross stitching. I was doing about 100 stitches on a project and then putting it away and getting out another one, so I was changing projects like 4 times a day. But my op had previously been cancelled twice and moved back, so I was convinced that it wasn't going to happen. And but I've had it now. I might talk about it more in life at the end. But I was hoping to do one a couple of weeks ago, but I wasn't really well enough to do it. I've been on 2 crutches because it was an up on my knee, and I realised I couldn't carry anything. So yeah, it would have been too difficult. But I'm starting to get off the crutches now. So yes, it's all good. I'm hoping that I have fixed the problem with my camera where everything was like mirror image. Fingers crossed. If it hasn't fixed it for this Flosstube, hopefully it will have done for the next one, but I will try and read out any words so that they're easy to understand. So as it has been a while since my last since I last talked to you, I've actually got loads of stitching done because I had my op. I pretty much was on like sofa rest with with my knee up for about 3 weeks, so I've got so much done, and I do have a fully finished project which I'm going to pop a picture in here. It was a stitch from Lilo and Stitch and Toothless pattern, which she did for one of my friends. I did it for her Christmas present, so it's gone off in the post to get to her. I was a bit annoyed. I couldn't get a lot of the creases out from the pattern, and I tried 3 different framers to try and get somebody to frame it for me before Christmas, and absolutely not one of them got back to me. So a bit annoyed because it doesn't look how it should look. But I'm going to say to her that if she wants to get it sort of stretched, I can't remember what it's called anyway, where they get all the creases out, that I'll pay for that if she can find somewhere where she lives who can do it. I really enjoyed this stitch. It was really fun. I liked all the bright colours. Yeah, so we had that one. No other fully finishes, of course. Even though last Christmas I sat there and said to myself, you are going to fully finish some things for this for this Christmas. I haven't done them. So I still, as every other year, have these projects which are just going to have to go up as they are. That one was from, I think, Cross Stitch Crazy, years and years and years ago. And that was from The World of Cross Stitch, I think, magazine. It's part of a series of 2. It's annoying because when I was contacting the framers, I thought, well, I can get a Christmas piece framed at the same time, but yeah, obviously that wasn't going to happen. Maybe after Christmas. So that was the fully finished item I had. I do have a finish. What's the pop-up? You won't have seen this before. I started it originally because I wanted something to stitch when I was in hospital, because I know hospital times, they don't work on the same time frame as the rest of us. So when they say an hour, they mean 3 hours. It was funny. I was having a conversation with my husband the night before I was due to have surgery, and I said to him, I need your help. I was like, I don't know what, I'm taking some cross stitch with me to hospital. And he went, no, 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 no. You don't want to take cross stitch to hospital. He was like, you want to just relax after you're up. He was like, you know, just listen to an audio book and just chill out. And I was like, no, honey, I'm taking cross stitch. I'm not going to hospital without anything to do, because obviously cross stitch is very therapeutic. And it turns out my operation was at 8 hours late. So if I hadn't have taken any cross stitch with me, I would have gone crazy. But I was going to take this one to hospital, and then ended up not taking it because it was a bit too complicated a pattern. But by then I'd started it anyway, so I just kind of finished it off. It's a pattern by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and it was in the Halloween sort of, is it Just Cross Stitch magazines? I get access to them through my digitally through my local library. And this is it. Pick your poison. So it was a super, super fun stitch, but it wasn't, I didn't find it particularly easy. I couldn't put it into Pattern Keeper because it was a digital copy, but super cute. Absolutely love stitching this one. It's on 16 count Ada, called Up the Muddy Track, from KLT Charting, which is a British company, and I have a monthly box of her fabric that comes. But it was super nice fabric to stitch on too. But so I really enjoyed that one. I'm going to finish it off as a flat fold, I think. And I remember last time I did a flat fold, I was like, I do not like this. I do not want to do any more. But I think it looks so good as a flat fold that I really want to do that. So that is my only finish. Most of my larger projects are quite a way off finished. But I wanted to start a few smaller things, because I like the sense of accomplishment that you get from finishing a project off, and then it gives me more enthusiasm to work on my bigger projects. So I'm looking at my notes. I've got 2 new starts, because the Autumn Lane Stitchery one was like too complicated for me to do in hospital. I started Birds to the Boughs instead, by Lindy Stitches, I think it is. I'm being really organised this time. I think I've printed out pictures for everything to show you. So that is the pattern, and it says, as birds have hitched to the boughs, so was my love to me. But I've seen other people doing it, and they were saying that the colours were a bit more sort of grungy than they looked in the picture, and I wanted mine to be super bright. So I just went to the cross stitching, my local Hobbycraft, and just had a look at what the colour should have been, and then just picked one that I thought was sort of similar but brighter. So I haven't really got very far with it, because I literally just worked on it when I was in hospital. But I'm going to pick this one up next week. Loving the colours. Although I started it in hospital with this colour, and I was like, oh, it's just a weird colour, the green, because it didn't seem to go very much with the pinky purple. And then I realised the bird's crown was the same colour, and I was like, yeah, I've not picked up the wrong colour, and it should have been like a gold. I don't quite know how I mixed that up and got a green, but so that one, it's on oh, let me check the Ada. It's on 16 count Ada, and it's from Sew It All, and it's in the shade Pastel Pink. So that was that start. The other new start I did was a pattern that I saw Michelle Bendy Stitchy doing this time last year, and it was from, I think it's a Stitching Book Club, where you read a book and you do some stitching at the same time. And this one was based on A Christmas Carol, and I love the book Christmas Carol. So I downloaded the audiobook earlier in the year, and earlier in the year I got everything I needed together to do the project. And I said to myself on the 1st of December, I'm going to start that. So that is what I did, and I have nearly finished it. Is that the right way up? No, that way up. I notched my fabric at the top so I could see where the top was, because on these projects where they're kind of, you go around, it's so easy to just pick it up and start working this way, and then your crosses don't go right. So I've notched my fabric. I've still managed occasionally to go wrong, and I had to pick out what I'm doing. But yeah, so it says, I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it. And I think it's all year round. So I haven't really got much left. I've just got another border of yellows around the edge, and then the last bit of writing. And then it did French knots, the little red French knots throughout it, which I'm not going to do. I'm actually going to find some beads. I don't have a problem with French knots, but I would think I'm going to make this into my first little cushion, and I think it will just be a bit more durable if they're beads and not French knots. So yeah, I've got a little bit that I need to unpick tonight, where I'm just one stitch off on the end because I didn't leave enough gap there. But that's what you get for stitching at like 11 o'clock at night when I'm tired. Not been sleeping brilliantly the last few nights. Been in quite a lot of pain with my knee, and then my son woke up last night upset, so I had to go in and see to him. So those are my 2 new starts, and then we can move on to whips. The first one is my Owl Forest embroidery one, which is my dinosaur pattern. Now, this, for some reason, the printer had a hissy fit and didn't print it out properly. But luckily for me, it's kind of printed the only bit of the pattern that I haven't really done, which is this side here. But this is how far I have got. Nope. There we are. So last time I'd done this dinosaur, and I'd done half of the Diplodocus. So I've done the Ankylosaurus, who we love. We absolutely love Ankylosaurus in our house. I've done this little blue one, and I've done the Stegosaurus. He just needs an eye. So you need to put an eye on him. And then he's finished. And last time I was working on this, I established there was a border, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to leave that to the end, because borders aren't great for being particularly interesting. So yeah, I'm still not amazingly enjoying stitching with variegated threads, but I feel we've sort of got the hang of them now. But I still don't like, it's like on the spines of the Stegosaurus, I wanted all the darker bit of the thread, because if I did them in the lighter bit, they just didn't show up well against the green. So it's just a bit of a pain, sort of cutting in, checking on your thread all the time, but it's all right. But I actually love the physical aspect of stitching on this one, and I love how it's stitching up. So that is that one, and that's on the linen that just came in the pack, so I don't actually know what it is. Yeah. What's next? Next is my Shannon Christie winter snowfall. Checking out what it will look like. That is what it will eventually look like. Last time you saw this, I had done this little section here, but it was like cut off half the way through the deer. And I've had a bit of progress on him. because that's all bit I'd done before last time. So the deer is finished now, and I've started down into this bottom bit here, and I think I'd worked sideways. Did I work sideways? I don't know, I might have worked sideways slightly, but I definitely did all this bit down here. And it is, what's the thread, the fabric? The fabric is Winter Snowfell. It's grey. It's just called grey, and it's from Lakeside Needlecraft. We think it's in count 18. It's 16 or 18. Yeah. So I thought I'd be more in the mood for stitching on this one, with it being coming up to Christmas and winter. But at the moment, I've not really been feeling that one. But I did a little bit on it. I like the bits in the teal, and then I get a bit bored with them with the white. But I've got it on Pattern Keeper, which is helping lots. Next is my Pride and Prejudice sampler, which I worked on loads and loads. So there's massive progress on this one. And this is the one where I'm not changing the pattern, but I'm changing the colours. They'd use kind of browns, and I'm just using black and white, really. That is not focusing very well. So it says, "In vain I struggle, it will not do, my feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you ardently how ardently I admire you." And it says Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen, and I'm doing it more on the grey than on the brown. So my fabric is Tempest Even Weave by Chromatic Alchemy, and count 32. I'm enjoying stitching on this fabric. I usually just do Ada, but this one is fun to do. So when you saw this last, I had Darcy and Elizabeth, the E, and the start of this tree. So I've started on the Pride and Prejudice bit that goes along the top. I've got Pemberley, Jane Austen, this border. I need to frog part of this because it should have looked like a heart like this, and for some reason I missed out. Probably stitching on drugs. When I say drugs, I mean medical drugs. Late at night. So yeah, I need to frog those out. And then I've got the words in, those bits of words, and then a J and an A for Austen, and that's the bottom of it. So I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm halfway done, but this banner at the top is going to be a whole load of stitching, because it goes across the entirety of the project, and it's just white with some black writing. But we'll plod away at it, and but I love working on this project so much. And when I have finished with it, I am going to pass the pattern on, because there were like 2 patterns inside it. There was like a working pattern copy, and then there was the one on the fancy booklet. So the fancy booklet one I'll do a giveaway at some point when I'm finished, and somebody else can have it because it's such a beautiful pattern. It deserves to go to somebody else and be worked on. So yeah, this is my Autumn Lane Stitchery Hallows Eve Haunting, and that's what it'll look like when it's finished. I'm sorry this one's in black and white, but it's pretty much most of it's black anyway, with the moon, and a lot of the colour actually came from the fabric, but I couldn't get the called for fabric in the UK. It was murky, and I couldn't get anything which resembled it either. So last time you saw this, it had the teeniest, tiniest little bit in the middle done, and it was so small that you couldn't even tell which way up the pattern went. Worked on this one loads in Halloween on the run up. In October on the run up to Halloween. Oh no, that's upside down. That's the right way up. So I've done the tree, done a bunch of the moon, and we're starting to get the witch coming in. It's nice to work on this one because it's blocks of colour. So I'm starting to kind of get the outline of the witch in, and then I can just fill her in without even needing the pattern there. So it'll be a good travel project. Not that I'm planning on travelling anywhere. The fabric is Coffee Stain from Sew It All, and it's a count 16 Ada. Yeah, so I've got loads and loads on that one. So very pleased with that progress. Hold it away. And the next one, which I've had oodles of progress on as well, is my Fellowship of the Rings pattern. And if I've got a picture of where this one was, I will insert it. But this is where I am now. So basically this time, I think I was just about over here with the horse, but I'd done all the top. Sorry, I feel very close to the camera today, but I wasn't able, with how I'm still on one crutch. I wasn't able to bring down the little frame that I usually put my phone in. But I was getting a bit confused by this one. I haven't done a full cover cross stitch project before, and this was my practice one before I did a Haid, which hopefully I'll start next year. So I'd started off and I'd kind of started filling in this way down because it was in bands. It was really easy, and then it became not so easy because the bands went and the mountain sort of appeared. So I said to myself, well, I'll start from this side and I'll work across in like blocks of 10 going down. And I was finding myself still that I was getting confused. So I did some research on YouTube to see how other people did full coverage projects. And I found a method which I really like the look of. It was by Vaughnie from Thread the Needle, and she just works on full coverage projects. But she does diagonal stitching where in Pattern Keeper I can tell it to do like 10 by 10 squares, but to do it diagonally through them. And then I'm starting at the bottom, and you just go up and you fill in all of a certain floss number, and then you go back down to the bottom and you work your way up in the next floss colour. And I'm finding that on the whole super easy. Sometimes I don't feel confident about counting as many squares as it needs to be, so I'm generally working my way up from the bottom to the top, but it's super quick. I can get like 500 or 600 stitches a day in this way, and they're full cross stitches as well. So I've gone from this being a project that I wasn't enjoying as much and I was feeling very overwhelmed by, to actually being one of my absolute favourite projects that I've been working on. And I am absolutely loving the detail that I'm getting of the mountains coming in. So I think I finished Aragorn, I finished Bill the pony, and that must be Sam leading the pony. And then Boromir, and then I think this is probably either Pippin or Merry. Probably Pippin, because he usually follows Merry round. And then get on to the rest of the Fellowship. Yeah, so actually having this one here out, I want to start working on this one again. So I might pull it out for next week's projects, because the progress it's just so quick using her method. So if you're thinking of doing full coverage and you haven't done one before, I'd highly recommend checking out her tutorial that she did. So it was Vorney from Thread the Needle. So it's that one. Bothy Kings and Queens got some love this month as well. I actually have a cover photo to go with this one now. So that is what it will look like when it's finished. And this is just on 14 count white Ada. It's just what Bothy Thread supplied in their kit. Last time, oops, I get back far enough. Last time I basically got these 2 rows done, but I hadn't finished off Henry the 6th, so I finished him off now. Doing all his back stitching. I'm not doing anybody's eyes until right at the end. I think I might do the eyes in beads, just because my French knots aren't necessarily always a uniform size. So somebody could have really small eyes or really big eyes, and that's not a problem if you're sideways on, but if you're front facing, I don't want them to be too different in sizing. So I had got Elizabeth done last time, but I hadn't got James the 1st. So I finished him off, and he's looking really good. And then for some reason I decided to start working from the top. I'm not quite sure why I didn't go here, but I think it might be actually because there was probably a huge gap here and a small gap here for me to count up. So got Richard the 1st. He was a nightmare to do. I don't know why. I think it was just there were quite a few blends of similar colours, and I kept going wrong and unpicking him, and it was just taking me absolutely forever. Henry II was absolutely no bother. He was really good to do. And then we've got Stephen in as well. And then I started Henry I. I've not, because this project was a restart, I don't have enough gold thread to finish them. So I need to have a look through all my stash to find out if I have the same gold thread that I used for the others, or I need to contact Bothy Threads to find out what it is, so I can get some more, so that I can finish them off. I don't think I need masses more, and I probably do have some in stash somewhere, but again, getting access to all my stash is just, it's not easy at the moment. I'm awful when I'm recovering from an operation. I've had loads and loads before in the past. I think this is probably operation number 12, or I could even be up into the teens. When I first got out of hospital, I'm fine, but as the days go past, I become more and more frustrated. I'm like, oh, I just want to be off 2 crutches. And then as soon as I'm off 2 crutches, I just want to be off 1 crutch. I can't carry anything round. And I'm pretty much functioning now, but if it's like, if I've cooked tea and there's a hot, we've cooked it in like a casserole dish or anything, I can't lift it out the oven and carry it, so it's just annoying. So the last project that I have worked on is Halloween Quaker, and that's what it will look like when it is finished. And I absolutely love working on this project. I'm not enjoying the fabric. I don't work loads on linen, but this linen seems, my needle will actually go between the strands of the linen quite often, and it's really annoying. So you think you're going down into a hole, and you're not. But this one I have made tons of progress on, absolutely tons. So last time you saw this project, let's see if I can tuck that under. I had this bit, the Grumpy Spiders, Sorry if you can hear a snorkeling noise in the background. My dog's having a sneezing fit. I had Happy Halloween done, and I started The Witch. So I think I had the tiniest of starts on the Ghost as well. I still haven't done much on the Ghost, but I love working on this one, and I want to find more Quakers when I'm finished because it's so fun. Sorry about that. We had to pause. My husband came down. I like to do these Flosstube videos when he is in the office. In the UK, the government's very worried about the new Omicron variant, so they've gone back to working from home. I'm like, I loved having my day, mind you, because my Artby hasn't been in anyway, because he had a week off and then he had a couple of weeks, he's just worked from home because occasionally I need help, especially with it being snowy out there, taking my son to school. Anyway, so I can't quite remember where I was. I think I was just saying that I'm really enjoying working on this one. I'm loving Quakers, which I didn't realise that I would like. I now want to work on this one again, so I think this one's probably coming out for next week, stitching as well. Definitely want this one finished for next Halloween, so I can get it up. And this one I think I'm going to have professionally framed, because it's just such a lovely pattern. So that is all my works in progress. So I have stitched so much, but I had nothing else to do. You know, when you're told sit down with your leg up, please, for 2 weeks, you think, well, okay, I can do that. So I have a little bit of haul. I don't have any patterns or fabric really or anything like that. I have decided that unless they're from small designers that I think might stop, might close an Etsy store or something, I'm going to be like, I don't need to get the patterns because the patterns are on the website of the designer, and so they don't need to be in my stash because they're there and they're going to stay there, so I don't need to spend the money on them. But I do have a bit of haul, which is last year I got a stitching advent calendar, and I really liked it, but I didn't necessarily love everything that I got every day on it, so I decided that this year I would do my own stitching advent calendar. So I have a box filled with, as you can see, with wrapped presents, which is all my stitchy advent calendar things. I know I love everything that is in there because I picked it out myself. That's my first one. Hold. I've become swamped with things. The first 3 days were design by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I think it's called Gnome Love. And I saw this in a magazine and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I wanted to stitch on it, and so I got it and I put it into my advent calendar. So day number 1 was the pattern. Day number 2 was the threads for them, because I was transferring on to DMC. I didn't have I didn't have most of the colours that I needed to do it. And then day number 3 was body fabric. And this was, I think, my first kind of real purchase of fabric that wasn't rustic or white or opalescent, but white. So yeah, so it's, I think it's 16 or 18 count. I think it's 16 spotty. So I was so excited to start this one. and now I'm not as excited. I think it's not Christmas stitching, and I kind of, if I do minis, I want them to be festive, but I suspect after Christmas I want to work on this because it'd be really, really nice to have it done for Valentine's Day. And then I have opened some other days of my calendar. So I got some project. Haven't opened it yet, haven't tried it, but I'm notoriously bad for the edges of my projects fraying. So I thought I'd give it a go. I got a Mill Hill kit. Absolutely love this one. I really want this one finished for Halloween. I suspect that could easily happen this year. Got a Stitchlets. Oh, sorry, glare. Saying Santa, stop here. They're kind of cute because they come with, oh, got my hand over the pattern so you can't see it. They come with everything you need to do it, including the envelope and the card. So they're super easy to make up for Christmas cards. I got another Mill Hill kit. It's a snowflake one. I absolutely love those colours. There's no way that's going to be done for this year. I did one for a friend early this year and it took me quite a long time to do. And this one thing which is missing. Where did I put it? I might have put it on the table. Hold please. I'm going to pause and I'm going to see if I can find it. I'll be right back. I'm back. I found it. It was this little ornament to stitch up. So when I have finished my Christmas Carol piece, I'm going to stitch on this. And I'm going to get it finished and I'm going to get it up on my Christmas tree this year. So I got that, and then today I got a needle minder from Cotton and Clay. Ooh, that's not going to focus. They're a UK company and I absolutely love her designs. Can you get it to focus? If I take my head out maybe. Absolutely gorgeous design, that one. So yeah, that's been sat in my advent calendar for months and months. I've got quite a few really good needle minders that I'm very excited to open. I can kind of remember most of what I put in my advent calendar, but I can't remember what days I put them on, and my son is having a lot of fun opening them for me. So that's my haul. Plans going forwards. I'm going to do Whip Go next year, but I will talk about my Whip Go board in the new year whenever I do a video. Probably be second week of January maybe, because by then my son will have gone back to school. I've also since my op I've had difficulty. I had difficulty before, but I'm having difficulty sticking to projects. I'm swapping them every day and then I'm not seeing progress, and then I'm feeling not good because I'm not seeing the progress. So I decided that each week I'm going to pick 3 projects, either because they take my fancy, or if there's nothing that takes my fancy, I've got a wheel that I can spin and randomly pick something. And that seems to be helping, because it doesn't matter if I just do a day on a project then switch to another, because at the end of the week I can still see progress on whatever projects they are. So that has been really helping me. So I'm going to carry on with that. I know next week I want to work on the Pride and Prejudice sampler, and I know I want to work on Fellowship of the Rings, and I'm feeling like I want to work on the dinosaur piece as well, because I feel that's getting close to a finish. So that'll probably be the next apart from Little Mini Christmas Carol, that'll be the first more substantial finish that I get. So that's what I'm going to do. I think that's it for stitchy stuff. So if you're just here for stitching, then I will see you next time. I hope you have a lovely Christmas if you celebrate it. I hope the festive season is still good for you. I suspect we might have a cut in the film there. It just told me my maximum size file was reached, and it had started a new recording, so we might have a glitch there. Yes, so if so, I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves, and I'll just go on and talk about life really quickly. As I say, I had my operation. The operation was total success. They managed. Let's go back in time. About 15 years ago, I had a really bad car accident where I was hit by a drunk driver who was speeding over the limit, and I damaged lots of me, but the worst damage was to my knee. I basically shattered the bones around my knee, and they had to basically piece them back together again with a bit of a jigsaw, kind of bit like a jigsaw, and they put a big frame on it to hold everything in place while it healed. They said it would probably be about 15 years till I needed a full knee replacement. We're now at that 15 years. I basically have the knee of like an 85-year-old with advanced osteoarthritis, and I'm trying to have the life of a healthy, fit 30-year-old with a small child, and that's not working anymore. I'm in a mobility scooter most of the time if I go out, so it's just become increasingly difficult, and COVID had a massive impact on my physical fitness, because we were shielding, so we weren't really supposed to go out the house, and even if we could go out of the house, they went so far as to tape off benches. So if you had mobility issues, you couldn't even sit down. So a lot of people, I think, who had any sort of physical or mental health, in fact, issues, suffered incredibly badly. I'm not saying that anybody, I know a lot of people, the pandemic caused mental health problems for them, but yeah, it was tough, very tough, but we're okay in my little family. But I decided that I'd reached the point where I needed a full knee replacement. So the consultant decided he wanted to do it in two parts. The first part was to remove some metalwork that was in from the accident, because it was in the way, and he was worried it would be too big an operation if he did it all at once, and he thought the recovery would be quite hard. So in beginning of November, I had the metalwork out, and I'm very glad that we did it in two operations. Before I went in for surgery, he was like, oh, it will take between 10 minutes and 50 minutes to get metalwork out. He was like, afterwards, he was like, yeah, that took 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, my body doesn't cooperate. And he was like, oh, in your leg, it's super stiff and doesn't bend. I'm like, yeah, I told you that. It does what it wants, my body. Yeah, they got it out, but the actual op was a bit of a nightmare. Luckily, I've had loads of ops before, so it wasn't particularly daunting, the prospect of surgery. I knew what was going to happen, and you know, all like that. I knew what my recovery would be like. But the hospital went paperless on the day of my op, and it was a nightmare. Did not go well for them. My surgery was supposed to be at 10 in the morning. I had my surgery at 6 o'clock at night. So that, I said to my husband, that is why we take a cross stitch to the hospital, because I would have been sat there with absolutely nothing to do for like 8 hours, and it would have driven me up the wall. Whereas I had stitching, I had books, I had audio books to listen to. You know, I brought things to do. But because my surgery was so late in the day, I then had to have an impromptu overnight stay in the hospital that we weren't expecting, which meant we then had to get child cover in for my son because somebody had to take him to school the next morning. Somebody had to look after him while my husband brought me things that I needed to the hospital because we weren't expecting me to stay. I put stuff out because I was like, oh, just in case, but we hadn't brought them with me. And I'd gone without eating or drinking for like 18 hours. So they couldn't find a vein when they got me into the operating room. So they tried my left hand because I'm right-handed. So they tried my left hand, they couldn't find one. They tried my right one and they thought they'd got it, and they put some of the drugs in. I was like, oh, that hurts, because I've had surgery before, you know, I shouldn't hurt like that. And he was like, oh, okay. So they put me to sleep with some gas and air, and I woke up with my cannula in my wrist. And my friend's a nurse, and she was like, oh, they must have been desperate if they were putting it in your wrist. So I was like, I'm probably just so dehydrated that my body had just gone. And I was stressed because, you know, when you get to like 5 o'clock, you're like, oh, my surgery is not going to happen because the surgeon's been here since like 9 in the morning and he's going to want to go home. I felt really guilty because the person after me, a surgery got cancelled because my surgery took 2 hours, which obviously they weren't expecting it to take. Yeah, so it was all a bit of a disaster. But if that had been my first experience of surgery, that would have been quite traumatic. But as I say, I'm an old hand at it, so yeah. And I couldn't have anybody with me at the hospital, so it was just me all by myself, which is pretty hard. And I'm hoping by the time I have my knee replaced, they've relaxed the rules somewhat and I can have some visitors. Yeah, so I've just been recovering, not really been getting up to much, just trying to get off crutches. I can do little bits now, I can kind of walk across a room without them, but as soon as I had my surgery, the weather turned. No, it was okay. It was okay for the week after my surgery. It was the like the day that I went onto crutches, the weather just like it went. I live in England, so winters tend to be icky. But that's when the ice started. So my car was broken, so I had to take it to the garage, and it was icy. And I was like, seriously, the first day that I'm on crutches is the first day of the year where it's icy. And the garage I needed to go to was just down a little, and you know, it was just a like very slight hill to get down to the door of the garage. And I was like, it took me 5 minutes. I was like inching down because he'd said, whatever you do, don't fall, don't you know, stumble or anything, because they'd had to take metalwork out. They were a bit worried for the first couple of weeks that if I did anything, I could, I suppose, fracture a bone or something, because it would be that bit weaker. And since then, we've got into really cold weather. You know, I'm going to school to drop my son off in the morning, and I'm just fingers crossed every morning that the disabled car park space at school is free, so that I can just stand by the car door watch him go in. But it's like today it wasn't. There was a food delivery, so I had to park over the road, and then it took me so long to it wasn't icy, but it was like that white ice, which isn't actually slippery, but in my head it's slippery. But yeah, so it took me ages to get to school, and then my son's upset because he hasn't got to go and see his friends in the school playground because it's taken me so long to walk in. But yeah, it's like that. But yeah, doing okay. We're getting there. I haven't really been up to much. We went to see Santa last weekend at a local village hall, and we were coming back. I said to my son, "Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy it?" Because it was a bit of a gift, like a craft fair as well. So you know, he went on the tombola and won something, and you know, we got a book or something from a stall, and he was like, "Oh, it was kind of okay, Mummy," and I was like, "Kind of okay? Why?" I was like, "Santa, you know, read you a lovely story, you know, you had fun." He was like, "Yeah, Mum, I had to sit still." And I was like, "It was 10 minutes." But my child is a wriggle bum. He never, ever stops moving. So I think that's about it. We're kind of ready for Christmas. If I twizzle you, maybe I might be able to see my Christmas tree. Whoa, right. Yeah, there's our Christmas tree that we put up. what else? I've got a friend visiting next weekend, hopefully, fingers crossed. And we're going to Castle Howard. Any Bridgerton fans, Castle Howard was the home of the Duke of Hastings. So I'm going with my friend who is a massive Bridgerton fan. And the house is all decked up for Christmas. It's Narnia themed this year. And they have the most stunning displays that I've ever seen at Castle Howard. So we're going to go around and we're going to kind of like be like, oh, that's where the Duke of Hastings did this and that's where they did that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And there's a road near my house where they do charity lights. So all the houses are mega blinged up and people come from miles away to see it. But I'm lucky that it's in my village. So we're going to take my friend there as well to see those because she'll enjoy that. Yeah, I think apart from that and getting ready for Christmas, yeah, I don't think I've got any plans. So I'm going to finish here, and I will wish you all a very happy Christmas, and I hope you're all okay. I know the festive season could be tough, so yeah, if you need to chat, or you want to do any comments, or you have any questions, please drop them down. I do try to check every few days to see whether there's been any comments. And if not, I will see you all in 2022. Goodness. So yes, take care. Bye.